All right, if you would please rise, we'll call the meeting for Tuesday, May 12th to order with a pledge of allegiance and a memorial service. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No, nothing that needs approval at the start. I will say in the personal report, there is a change on the recommendation, so when Cindy presents that, she'll present it with the change, but nothing you need to approve right now.
All right. Moving on to board recognition of students and staff.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun tonight, so I'm gonna turn it over to Mrs. Casco. We got kind of a fun presentation.
We do. We were notified a few weeks ago that we have a student, we have a student that was recognized for scoring in the top 2% in the state for his I-Learn checkpoints, and which is very impressive. It's not an easy test. And so we were really excited about that. There are some special things that are going to come with that. That he's going to have some opportunities to apply for even more opportunities in math. This kiddo scored in the first checkpoint 99th percentile, second checkpoint 99th percentile, and the third one in the 95th percentile. So very impressive. It's an adaptive test, so those questions get more challenging as they get them right. So that tells you very, very impressive. So he doesn't even know that's why he's here, but Ivan, I'm gonna have you come up. I thought he was here because of his dad's getting approved tonight, but you are the recipient of the National Math Stars Award, so congratulations. And we need to celebrate too, because you have a great family that helps you, right? And you have an awesome teacher that came tonight, Mrs. Huffman, to support you. And you've had some great teachers along the way, I know, that have really helped you grow, not just in math, but I took a peek at his language arts course, and those are not horrible either. He's a real shining star at OSSI, and we're really proud of him. And it takes hard work to be able to do what you did. So we're really proud of you, Ivan. Keep it up. Good job. Hey, Ivan, turn it.
Mrs. Huffman, you come up too.
Okay? You're gonna sneak up, because all these important people are gonna be right behind this.
Yes.
Here we go. You got it all figured out?
Yeah.
Okay. That was good. Right. 3, 2, 1.
All right, so we have another individual we want to recognize. So Mr. Enderly, our middle school principal, was named Principal of the Year for Region 8. And just really proud of Andrew. The last 4 years, he's put a lot of structures in place, whether it's the, tweaking the schedule or having to tweak the schedule because of things that we're asking him to do. But also just kind of rallying the staff around to just raising expectations on really what kids can do in terms of their achievement. And so we're starting to see the fruition of some of that, and I think there's more of that to come. But still, within doing that, not losing sight of the middle school concept and how important it is for middle school kids to connect. He had a great relationship with parents, with the staff, and so kind of doing it all right now. And so I couldn't be more proud of Andrew, and congratulations on this.
Where's his
certificate?
Yeah, where's his certificate?
Did you get it?
Stand by
Come
yourself.
back with us.
Yeah, go back.
Come back with us.
You don't want to stay in the front, like.
Just so you know, we're taller.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Just stand behind him for the flag, everybody can see it.
Mike, what's the criteria, like how they vote on that? I'm just curious.
Actually, you can talk more about it, but it has to do a lot with not only things that you share, I think you have like an application that you fill out, maybe two, or.
Yeah, so it's a nomination of your peers predominantly. That's the first recognition for the region, which is, we have 11 or 12 regions in our state. So the next application process is a lot more rigorous for the state level recognition. So we'll be in the process of that. And if I may, just
Yeah, you should be at the podium, but that's fine.
I can't
I
not
mean,
say.
the principal of the year, I mean, come on.
Yeah, the people watching
I
online.
got you.
will
I'm
hear
Andrew
you better.
Underlay. I live right down the road. What's your address? Not telling you. No, I just want to say thank you. I said no to a lot of things leading up to my professional career, that I wouldn't end up in Huntington to play baseball or coach baseball, and that was my first job at Huntington North. I said I'd never work in this district because I wanted to pave my own way and do my own things, and here I am, and I couldn't be more proud to be here. I love this community. I've appreciated how the community has embraced our family, the Enderle family, and just really rallied around us to offer us a space in this community has been really, really special. And then professionally, I am nothing without the team that we have. From custodians, our maintenance team, our cooks, our secretaries. I mean, if you've been in our office, you know we have the best office staff. No offense to anybody else. But our counselors, our teachers, it is a special place to be, and I'm really encouraged. And Mike noted, I think there's some really special things to come, as well as what you're seeing right now, the fruition of really hard work, but with some cohesiveness and narrow focus. I think we're headed in a really special direction. So thank you for the opportunity to accept the recognition, but it's on behalf of other people. Thank you.
And I would say, Todd, just to follow up a little bit, so part of it is too, Andrew's pretty involved in IASP and their association and within the region, and so I think that's a part of it as well.
Moving on to minutes of the previous meeting, we have an executive session and a regular session minutes for April 21st, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor, right hand. All right, moving on to monthly claims.
I'll make a motion to approve. Sorry, Teresa.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor, right hand. And superintendent's report.
All right, well, Adam Manager was asking if there's an opportunity to come back and present to the board. If I can find an excuse for him to do that, 'cause he really loves it. So, Adam, actually, if you want to come forward. But we put together this plan for our, let's see if this is going to let me do it. Nope, it's not connected. It's not just board docs, guys.
This is why we don't ask Byron to present.
Right. I'm going to try it again.
He's unplugging
Well, so anyhow, I'll just go back while this is reconnecting. So in January 13th meeting, we presented really the facilities is more of a 3-year plan that lines up with some of the things we have in the capital projects. But so a 3-year facility improvement plan for facilities. Then we also did equipment, which would include technology, and then our bus transportation, and just vehicles in general, because that also includes maintenance vehicles.
Before he gets to this, especially because a lot of us, or all of us, have paid our taxes on Tuesday, our property taxes. I know some people have been confused when they've called the assessor and then reached out to us. So the property taxes, I'm throwing this to you so that you can explain it, but property taxes are raised to pay for, or are done to pay for operations. all of operations or all of these projects that we do have to be done through a bond. Like even the big project, middle school project was done through a bond. One of the confusing points was someone was told that the bonds you guys keep on doing are keeping our taxes or raising our property taxes. And I explained to them, like, you know, there's a difference between the geo bonds and the big project bonds and stuff
Right.
like that. But, so can you walk
Yeah,
through?
so we have a minimum or a maximum amount that we can collect, right, with our property taxes. And so what I explained in the one meeting, if you guys remember, if people want to go back and look at it, I think it was that January meeting as well. Like I said, if not for, and so we have a cap on what we can levy in operation fund, like regardless of whatever we would want to do in a budget, like if there's a maximum that we can do, it's called the maximum growth quotient. If that didn't happen, if that wasn't in place, with the same tax rate, that revenue that would come in, we'd have an extra $2-3 million a year coming into operation fund. But since that's capped, right, then that's why schools then do geo bonds. Now, obviously, no one's gonna have $40 million in their operation fund to build a middle school, right? So those are obviously the big lease bonds that you do. But the geo bonds, like even to have $2 or $3, $4 or $5, $1 million to do little mini projects, no one's gonna have that in their operation fund. And so that's why you do it in a geo bond. But if they took that cap off of the operation and allowed all that revenue to flow into operations, then you wouldn't have to do any kind of bonds, which I would prefer, because we have to pay bond fees, we have to pay interest, even if we pay it off in 3 years or 4 years, we're still paying interest. And you wouldn't have to do that if you were able to do it in operation fund. So it's pretty, and I remember I've talked to our legislators about that, and I just haven't had a good explanation, like, what's the benefit for the cap? Because it's the same tax burden for the taxpayer, it doesn't make any difference, it's just a matter of where it goes to. And so I really have never gotten an explanation on why. The only thing I did have the last time I had a conversation was, in 2031, we think we'll go to a tax rate-based system, which is what I'm talking about. Because then we're able just to keep our tax rate the same, and then the revenue just changes with the AV. And I will say this, and I'm probably gonna talk more than you were bargaining for, but sometimes when people, like, the other perspective on this is as AV goes up, our revenue comes, even if we keep our tax rate the same. And so they'll say, well, let your tax rate go down. What people are missing in that conversation is what's causing the AV to go up, right? So that's, inflation and everything else. So there's additional costs that we have to take on. And so that's why they kind of go up together, because that's our only revenue is tax revenue. So if you would say, okay, well, you gotta let your revenue go down, but your expenses, your utilities, your building costs, everything else are gonna continue to go up, like for everybody else. Well, what do we do then? Right? So then you're really not doing any projects. So, but yeah, to answer your original question, I wish we didn't have to do bonds. I wish we'd take off that arbitrary levy cap that they give for operations, because I don't understand it. I don't understand the benefit to anybody for that. So,
Yeah.
But in order to do like the big project, the middle school project, it's a lease bond. And so when someone says it's because of these bonds, there's a differentiation that could be made, so
yeah,
people
so,
understand.
I mean, it's still a bond that you issue,
Yeah.
that you're issuing, that you're paying back. But the difference is the lease bond is actually a mortgage on our
Yeah.
properties, right? And so we basically mortgage like you do any other mortgage, and then that's more of a 20-year thing.
Yeah.
Whereas it has to be for a specific thing, like it could only be for the middle school project, right? For building that, whereas a general obligation bond is what it says, and it's general in nature, and it has less, you still have to have the approval meetings, but it has a less wait period, and it's usually for a shorter period of time.
And I think it's important for people to understand that, are you paying more of your taxes to schools? Yes. The reason for that is not because of anything we did. My assessed value in my home in the last 5 years has more than doubled. The school corporation did not raise my assessed value. So what's happened is we've got a disproportionate, so assessed value on residential properties has been increasing at a substantial rate, and commercial and industrial properties have not. and have not come up. So the pie of the collection has shifted more to residential than it has in some of those other areas. And so are you paying more as a residential property owner to the school? Yes, because you're paying more to all other government entities, just as you are paying the school. If you want to understand it more, Mark Miller wrote a lot of articles about it in the News Banner, and explains it very well. That's really the problem. It's not the assessor's problem, it's not our fault, it's not their fault. This is a state problem, a legislative problem, and hopefully somebody will figure it out and fix it. So, going back to
Yeah.
how that
No,
we're fixed.
no, what the hell, yeah, you give us some time there, Corey, appreciate that.
Any questions?
Yeah, you so I apologize, guys, if you have a hard time seeing this, if you're looking at the screen, but I'm not messing with this thing, we've got it up and running, and I'm gonna keep it that way. So what we wanted to show you here, and at the bottom, if you guys, I don't know if you were able ever to get to your, and you can also, we have this linked on our front page on our website, so if you want to get to it that way. So I did put down there the capital projects plan, which, reminder again, that's a 3-year plan. And even though we kind of put the dates in there as like an estimated start date, we kind of do that generally. So I highlighted things in there that we are not at this point committed to in the capital project. So even though you approve the capital projects plan, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're able to get to all those things. I mean, we still have to have the funds to do it. So that's why we had a more narrowed commitment, like this is what we're doing in 2026, 27, 28, beyond. So all that, Adam kind of talked about that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I can't see a word up there.
Here, take that up.
Okay. All right, so the geothermal pumps at the high school, or at Lancaster, we've had 2 of them, 3 of them go out at Lancaster right now, and they're about $13,000 per unit. We've had 5 of them in stock right now. There's, I don't know, 90 of them that are the same, a left or a right. So 3 or 4 years ago, we bought 5 of them to have in stock. We've replaced those, and at our cost, once we buy them, our maintenance team's figured out how to do everything, like the ductwork, the wiring. So it probably cost us less than $1,000 once we have the actual unit. So our plan is to use all of those, but a couple of them, and then buy more as we need more, because the communication systems goes out, the new layout of the HVAC unit is updated every so often, so we don't want to buy 500 of them and then have them sitting around waiting. So that's the plan with the high school and the middle school.
And could you talk for a second just on like that wait period? Because we're thinking, I mean, who knows, but like 2-week wait period if you order it to get it in? Is that about?
It was a little bit longer than that. It was like 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so if we're waiting on that, what does that mean then for the climate and the environment if we're waiting on that?
A lot of times, most of the teachers, I mean, some of the teachers on outside rooms with the sun beating in, it might get a little bit hotter in there. But as soon as we get down to those 2, we're gonna order more, and they don't go out that fast.
Right.
Unless for tomorrow, they'll probably all go out.
No, that's
But
fine.
yeah, as soon as we get down to those 2, we're gonna order more, so that is already on that wait period. So
But
we'll
if we
probably.
would have more than those go out at one time, it's not like we'd have to shut down school.
No, not at all. Yeah, the buildings are built fairly good to where the humidity, hotness won't matter in the classrooms at all, so it should be good. Let's see, seal coat, Austin parking lot, we are holding off on that for a while. The repair of the track, so I talked to Todd Monensmith, and he does the surfacing for the track. And originally I had planned to mill out the track and then put new asphalt back in and then recoat it. And he came out and looked at it and said he thinks he can just fill in the cracks for right now, but within the next 3 years, we're gonna have to resurface the whole thing because the cracks just keep expanding. So that was quite a bit cheaper than what we had originally planned. Fertilizer and spray, we've already are in the process of doing that. Refinish the gym floors, that's scheduled in the 2nd week of July. The water filter and the chiller, we're gonna hold off on that until later on in the summer. And then the crack fill parking lots, we'll do that mid-July as well. So then all the rest of that should be good.
On the water filter and the chiller, you're still getting pricing on that, right? Or
Correct,
that's
yeah.
kind of the-
So we actually had Schmidt Associates come in Monday to do a water analysis. There's been some rotten egg smells in the middle school, so we're trying to get that figured out. If we need to put a whole water filter in for the whole middle school, or just filter certain spots that people use it more often. So once we get that analysis back, then we'll have a better, I don't wanna spend $20,000 putting a whole filter in if we only need to filter certain areas. And then the chiller, go ahead.
Just for clarity, for the repairing the track,
Yep.
we're just delaying an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're just trying, it wasn't safe for kids to run on as it was, and so he fixed it over spring break right before the practices, so people don't, you could literally catch a spike in there and trip and fall, so that issue's been fixed for now, but the reoccurring cracks come back every year, and Todd's been doing our resurfacing since I've been here, and he can tell everywhere where he's patched it already. But yeah, we will need to do something within the next 2 to 3 years for sure.
And when you say something, that price tag is like the maximum.
$450,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not be adding any lanes. We'd tear out the whole entire track, go down to good soil and rebuild the whole track. Again, not making it any bigger. We could go bigger, but then we have to move the football bleachers back, and that would probably be like over $1 million to do that. And add the extra 2 lanes to it. So yes, we are just delaying the problem for a couple of years.
And the hope there is, and the pattern you're gonna see with a lot of this is like what we absolutely have to do right now.
Right.
We're gonna do, and if we can get through, and that's gonna be, as we kind of go through tonight, is that dichotomy that we're living in, where we need to kind of reduce costs, but then we got all this stuff we need to do, and all these expectations, and like something has to give there. You can't do both things at the same time.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is just really focus on what we absolutely have to do right now. Where can we do cutbacks? Where can we be more efficient and start to build up, I guess, or even like reduce what we have to use in operations, and if we can stick that in a rainy day and just kind of keep building that up. That's the idea.
And just for the public's understanding, we can't host things for track if we don't add those 2 lanes, correct? That's why you mentioned.
At the high school.
At the high school, we can't host
I
sections.
believe so.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
Right.
we have our events, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Any other questions?
And the only thing I did put, and it's okay for you, Adam, the only thing I did put on each one of these slides is just, and again, you're gonna be, if you're having just, you're gonna have a hard time seeing it, but just a reminder of the board goals that education fund 15% of that fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, and then the goal for the operations is, oh, I said that backwards. No, I said that backwards. 10% education and then 15% in operations. And you kind of, obviously, we didn't have time to adjust for that in 2025 once the goal was set. But in 2026, that's what we're forecasting and tracking is trying to hit that goal. In addition to, trying to make sure we stockpile some stuff. But when you see some of the things that we have highlighted that we're not doing or we're putting off, we just really feel like we need to get to fall on some of these things before we commit to them, because we kind of want to see what the landscape is.
That might be where my next question comes in, because I was really excited to be on a new stage for
Yeah.
June, but that's not ordered. And then along with the painter, I know it seems ridiculous, but it's now been approved twice. So the
Yeah.
stage I get, but it's a big pain for you guys, so at some point I know that has to be addressed. The painter doesn't sound like something people should want to spend money on, but can you go over again why it's a good idea and how much time, or basically an employee it would save?
Yeah, so whenever we start laying out football, well, not we, Nathan does all of the layout himself. And it probably takes him a day and a half to lay out a football practice field. And we have 3 practice football fields, 2 soccer fields, a main soccer field. And with that robot painter, you program it in there and hit play, and it'll just lay out everything. So it would take our time significantly down for that. And then each time he has to repaint it, he just fills it up, pushes a button, and it repaints everything. He can mow the next field as we're going, so it's like an extra employee.
So I think, it's not one of those things, but it saves where, I agree, there's a dichotomy there, but I would like to see both of those done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the stage thing, and that's just, and we were just talking about this the other day. Yeah, we've been on that stage, together now, 6 years, but, and yeah, it definitely could, it'd be better if we had more space, it would, and then the other side of it is, we've also been able to have a really good graduation after 6 years too, with it, and so for many years before that. So I get it, I don't disagree with you at all. And when there are little things like a $6,000 thing here, that's kind of not that big a deal, but you start adding up 25,000, 65,000, you know, it just really adds up. And so, again, I do think as we have conversations and looking at things where we can be more efficient and trim back, I do believe that we're gonna feel pretty good, you know, relatively, right, given circumstances, you know, when we get into the fall and stuff. I think all of us are just a little bit nervous to get too aggressive on non-essentials before then.
Yeah.
So,
We talked about the painter, you know, also takes away employee, and then how many years it's good for.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't it 10 years,
I think
something like
so, yeah,
that?
it was, yeah.
10, 15 years.
Mhm.
So you start thinking of a salary over 10 years, it's actually really cheap.
right, because how many years have you been here?
10,
So see, we're already kind of at the on that.
just 10 more years.
All right, so here's the equipment, you kind of touched on some of them already, but I already had it there. So with going with the lease and how we did that with the, you know, buying the iPads and leasing the laptops, for the out-of-pocket cost of this year, for that technology was, you know, quite a bit reduced to what we had originally planned, so that's a good thing. Access points, using E-rate, Byron was able to kind of trim that cost of what we originally thought it was. Security cameras a little bit more, so we had that little give and take. And then the mower, I guess we didn't touch on that, but so they discontinued the exchange, yeah, that's right, they discontinued the exchange program basically.
Yeah.
And so now we just decided to buy it, so we didn't trade in like one that we had just bought. So we bought one last year, and then we bought one this year, so it was ended up actually a little bit less cost than if we were doing the exchange. Over time, the exchange was probably cost effective, but they're just,
Worked well for us, but
Yeah.
not Trulian.
yeah, right.
They weren't
Right.
making any money off of it.
Right, right. So any questions on this part? And then vehicle, I didn't ask Amy to come just for this part here, but, so you do have a bus replacement plan, very small in there, so I'm not probably going to read that. But we did, we've just gone through and followed exactly what we were going to do in our bus replacement plan. So now we did find out today, I told you guys in an email today that Curlin had told us that they were able to do the buses for $12,500 less than originally cost. It's still more than what it had been, so, you know, buses are trending up higher in their expenses, but it was less than what we had thought they were gonna be, so that's good.
We should probably amend the 27, 28, 29 numbers to be at least 10% more than the previous years.
Yeah, no, agreed. And then we were able to get a new maintenance truck and plow, and so there's a cost on that, which is good. All right, next thing I just wanted to share with you guys, and I'm hoping you can get this somewhere, because that's gonna be a really difficult read. But, so we started this in January, so the top table says January 23rd was our administrative team work session, and we got a couple of our administrators here. Just a really good process. I mean, we took basically a day, I think we had lunch and kind of went back at it in the afternoon. But I think it was, so what you're seeing in blue is John Hattie, we've mentioned him before, but Visual Learning is a book from his, but you go back to his research, he had, it was like 3 million data points, I think, or something, but looking at what the effect size is on student achievement and student outcomes, and so I think it was on this one. I think Teresa was the one that kind of looked up and added those into our discussion. But we just had a lot of discussion on what are the things that are just going to be commitments to us as we go through and look at the 26-27 school year. What are, like, from a staffing standpoint, or whatever it might be, what are things, so we started off with just 2 columns, what are just prioritized things that this is just what we're going to do. And then the other column was things that we're going to review and maybe take a look at. Are these really producing the results, and should it have the impact and the commitment that we've been having with it? And the conversation was just really good, and because and this is just what I want to talk about. you know, our team in general, and you guys can either nod or do whatever, or say, Mike's crazy, that's not how it is. But just really get a trust within that team, and I think there were times where we kind of challenged each other on some stuff, right? Like, you know, I don't see this as being, you know, if you say you're at the elementary level, maybe challenge in middle school or high school as to whether or not that really has value, and maybe vice versa. And it was good. I mean, it wasn't angry, but it was definitely like, kind of pushed us to really talk about what matters and prove it, and say, you know, if we're gonna commit to these things, we're gonna need to see maybe some results on that. But I just enjoyed it, because it's the kind of meetings, you know, I was kind of brought up into my career, and we have a lot of those, but I just thought this was a really good one. And then we just would have individual conversations kind of stemming from that January 23rd meeting to where it culminated into March 9th, where we said, okay, this is our finalized priority list. And so a couple things just to point out. Again, you guys are having a hard time reading it, but for effect size, John Hattie has anything 0.4 and above is pretty high effect size. So if you do these things in general, right, those translate into pretty high results for kids and high success. And so one of the things that you always have conversations about are elementary class sizes. And if you notice, if you can see it, John Hattie has a 0.21 in his research on class sizes. And you know, having low class sizes, whether that has a big impact. But in the conversations we talk about, one of the things you gotta keep in mind, and I've said this to you guys before in a board meeting, so I apologize for repeating myself, but you have to look at that in concert with other things. So if you have, you know, strong intervention in place, you have a strong tier 1 curriculum in place. I said those backwards, but and then you have good reflection meetings and teaming and all that kind of stuff goes into place. Then you know, then you kind of measure that coupled with class sizes. Do you see bigger jumps in your achievement as you have those things established? Do class sizes mean as much, right? And so it's a combination of things, and kind of what we were talking about with Andrew too, like the things that they're putting in place in middle school. I don't know that we could do that without the middle school concept, especially the schedule you have going right now for next year. And so anyway, so it's just looking at all those things that we'll be committed to. You may be better to ask me specific questions, because I feel like I'm rambling. But when you go off to the right side of the screen, this is kind of what we came down to making our decisions. We're looking at staffing. And so in our ongoing conversations, seeing where we're at with our elementary achievement, seeing where we're at with our practices, we just really believe this was not the time to let elementary class sizes go up. But I wanted you to understand as a board, like that decision, so when I say class sizes, we're talking 17 to 18 students, predominantly in K2, 20, and this isn't every class, you might have a 23 in 3 through 5, but mostly 20, 21 in grades 3 through 5. And I can tell you, I was an elementary principal for 12 years, never had that, right? So that's a commitment we're making. It's not a martyr complex that we're doing it, but I want everyone to understand that's a commitment. And in dollars, if we would have gone to what kind of the numbers were when I was an elementary principal, it's a $590,000 commitment to have those lower class sizes. Again, we don't do that begrudgingly. We're happy to do it. We think we have a good thing going right now, but it is a commitment. Like, that's a financial commitment to do that. Middle school concept, to have the teaming like we have it right now. If you go to more of a junior high model, for example, and not have middle school teaming on that, being able to maybe add aquatics back into the curriculum and things, that's a $480,000 commitment to do that. If we were to go to a junior high model and not have the teaming that we have in place that we think is, we believe is really good for kids, and we're starting to see from an achievement standpoint, even that played some fruition with the schedule that Andrew's put together. But just those two things, commitments we're making, that's about $1 million that we're committing to, you know, for our kids and for our programming. Again, I think it's really good, and we're doing it for a reason as we went through our discussion, but I don't want that to fall short of anybody. Like, that's a major commitment.
But it's also, I think, important for people to understand that that is not $1 million of tax dollars.
Right.
It's coming from property taxes. That is education fund, which comes from the
Correct.
state.
Correct. The only caveat to that, which is where I lose people,
Yes.
is that we transfer,
Correct.
you know, about 12% right now we're transferring over from education to operations, which comes out to about 2 million, well, I guess it was 1.8 this year that we transferred over. You know, if you I guess you could maximize that even more if you're saving an education fund, which alleviates operations. But yes, this is supported by state tuition. All right, so the decisions that we did come down to, which this goes along with the commitments we made in the first two rows. This is more of a commitment to making sure that ratios are low for our certified staff. And you kind of have to make that choice. So if you're going to commit to the certified staff in terms of the ratio between kids and certified staff, then where's that savings going to come from? It's going to come from teaching assistants, because you already have a low ratio, you don't need as much as that. Now, I want to be clear, that's for the gen ed population, that is not for our special needs population. We did not reduce for areas where we have, like for example, our intensive intervention room, that's not where those cuts came from. But that is a place, so we did have a total between, you know, all 4 buildings, we did have 9 non-special ed teaching assistant positions that we were able to reduce, and that was in conjunction of raising compensation for our teaching assistants by $50,000. So the overall savings for that was $168,000. And then we were able to, and this was mainly on the back of the fact that preschool, with not having the funding, you know, we reduced most of our staffing that you're looking at there, and the reductions really came from teaching assist, or from preschool teachers. So the total on that was 0.79, and the reason you have a 7.9 is because we increased our criminal justice, thank you, programming, because we have more kids wanting to do that. So we increased there on that, but then decreased in other places. But that net was about $164,000. We reduced our technology integration specialist position, which came out to $96,000 savings. We're in the process of reducing potentially, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later, business office admin position. So we have that savings there. And then we already done this last one with looking at non-certified staff, but for the certified staff. So we do something unique at Norwell. I don't know of anybody else that does this. In that if we have 2 Norwell employees that are married, and looking at more contribution, we just say for $1, you could have the network deductible plan. We changed that, which we did this for non-cert the year before. You can't really do it in the middle of the year because it's a bargaining issue, but we've already talked about it, and I'll be in bargaining for this next time, but it has to be a high deductible plan 1. So by doing that, that's a savings of $47,000. So for all of that, looking at it, we're looking at about $500,000 in savings, just by doing those. So it's just, so those are the things that we're doing. Like, it doesn't, you know, all this stuff, we care about it all, but we're just trying to see how could we be just more efficient in some of our practices. Any questions on that process?
No, I think it's important to understand that the $1 million is not new dollars being spent, it's just dollars not being saved, where the other things in red are actual dollars being saved.
Right, we're not adding anything, that's what we're currently doing, correct? Thank you.
All right, I think we covered budget, we covered the staffing framework, correct?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to accounts payable processing programs review.
Yeah, so this, I really wanted to piggyback this on the conversation we just ended. And so the only part I'm gonna kind of start off with here is just this first page to give you a little background. And so the purpose is to increase efficiency within our business office by reducing time requirements for manually entering invoices, and Deb's gonna give you a visual here in a second. But the history on that is we have ever since I've been here, it's been a conversation that started with just Deb and I having, but then it's kind of grown to everybody in our department. But we've attempted to combine accounts payable with payroll clerk position. That allows us to do a lot of things. It allows us to, well, allow us to kind of eliminate the position, but also do a little bit more with HR. Courtney's already done a ton, as you guys know, but it really kind of frees her up to do even more with that and really focus on, you know, staff services. So anyway, but just with how we do our accounts payable right now, it's just not doable. So at the spring 2005, so we just had our 2006 annual ASBO conference.
26.
We just had our 2026 one, but in 2025, in the spring, Linda had gone, so a year ago, Linda had gone to a presentation about AI, using AI for making your processes more efficient in the business office. And so that prompted last fall, Deb and Linda to start researching companies that could use AI. And I didn't really know that they were doing this. They came later and kind of told me about it, I think late October. But they've been researching some things, and so that's where I'm gonna just kick off and have them start talking about it.
Yeah, we limited, we narrowed the field down to 3 different sources. One of those sources we've already kicked out because of their lack of response. There was no callbacks or customer service, so we kicked them out. So we're down to a couple. One, we've already had I'm gonna call it a sandbox where we played around in it. And Linda had the most experience in that one. And the other one, we are getting ready to get a sandbox so that we can try it out, so we can kind of compare the two to see if it accomplishes what we need it to accomplish. We're not ready today to make a recommendation, not at all. We're just giving you some information of what we're looking at. It is kind of exciting where it's supposed to, what it will do is organize the invoices that we get, whether it's by mail, whether it's by email, whether it's through the portal. It organizes them and puts it in a CSV file, and then we can upload it into our software accounting system. It would theoretically save a lot of time, and we hope it does just that. And I just want to give you a visual, the accounts payable register that you guys sign every time. All of that is this, and this, and this, and each one of them have to be entered manually. So if you can imagine just being able to use AI to just extract it from emails in the US mail and read the important information and just enter it. I don't know if I want to say enter it for you, but that's essentially what it does.
It would also save paper, obviously.
Paper,
And-
filing,
Yes.
file space, because we wouldn't need to print off anything, would make audits a lot easier. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We're excited about it, and we think it'll really save Shauna especially a lot of time. It will free her up to absorb some additional responsibilities that's going to soon fall on Linda.
So like, how much time do you spend doing these invoices?
So for me, like, it's really hard because I do payroll and AP together. So I would say that every other week, like this is a payroll week, so Mondays and Tuesdays, I am really heavy on AP. So I will spend my 2 days of 16 hours entering this stuff for sure. Other than that, it's probably close to 2 to 3 hours every other day. So I mean, it's a significant amount.
How much
of
do you
time.
think this would reduce it?
Well, I won't know until I'm able to have that sandbox, so I'm hopefully this
Overnight.
week sometime, so.
Would it break it down to, like, in categories, it's gonna break it down easier for you and easier to read and
Yes,
have the numbers so that it be easier
yes.
discussions
And in
and
theory too,
decisions?
yes. Like, I have Byron and Adam that they currently are doing things electronic as well, but just to get everybody more up to speed and streamline that process would be great, so.
I assume SBOA and DLGF have already given the okay for a lot of these programs.
This will not circumvent the accounts payable process, and we'll make sure that it is in accordance with SBOA guidelines. So, no, it's not going to violate anything that I have found so far anyway.
Because what you need for them is you just have, in any kind of an audit, you just have to show a paper trail when things were approved. And so as long as the system does that in terms of the approvals, and the system too, it doesn't, like this is all just uploading into something that they can have, then it doesn't pay anything. So like it doesn't go to software systems or anything, we still have to put that way, it just organizes them for you. I don't know if you guys want to go over the pros and cons with them at all, because you guys need some time to put that together, or do you want me to say those?
And
or do you
we can go over some of the pros and cons. I mean, some of the pros was, of course, being able to gather the information. The one company one of the companies that we're really looking into, however, they have a annual licensing that you have to pay every year, so we have to take that into consideration. Plus, there's a setup charge. The other company that's remaining, the representative, we will own that data. We own it, it's gonna be on our server. It is, help me out here, it's designed specifically for
So it's
us.
proprietary.
And it's, you know, if the other company where it's licensing, if we wouldn't wanna continue that, our data's gone and no longer available. The one option, the data is ours, it's on our server, and we can kind of control it. So we kind of like that idea, and as far as security, I know that Byron sat in on one of the presentations, that security, since it's not cloud-based, would be much more secure, because it's not out there, the data's not out there, it's within our own server. Pros,
Yeah,
cons?
I guess the biggest pros would be the time savings. I mean, it's pretty amazing, actually. We would just upload the invoice into the program, and we can choose a nightly run that we want to have it then be produced into a CSV file. And we've tested the CSV file, uploading it into our system, software systems, and that works well. I mean, we've used that.
Is there, when they get a lot of errors, because if you do it manually time and time again, I'm sure you guys have errors. I mean, not insulting, but you probably do have some errors, and you have to refix them and all that. Would it
Always,
eliminate that?
anytime somebody is manually
Oh, absolutely.
entering something, as much data as here, because each one of these pieces of paper has about 7 fields that you've got to fill in. So there's always a risk for a data entry that is wrong. You know, when it's an individual, a manual, no offense, but, you know.
When you're making all these mistakes.
Come on, John.
This system will, once it gets to the CSV file, we have a chance to review it, to go over it, make sure the appropriations is correct, make sure all the data is correct before we sign and date and pass it on to our accounting system.
But it will eliminate all those windows, all those 7 windows. so it
Yes,
wouldn't-
yes.
Wow.
I don't know, I don't understand how it works, but it reads, it learns, it reads the vendor, it, then it
Essentially
will
text
learn
reading.
our vendor number, which we need for our accounting system. It reads the invoice date, when it's due, the invoice number, I mean, all of those things that are manually entered right now.
Wow, I like it.
Yeah,
Well, I will just say, you finally said what I needed you to say, was that you were gonna verify the AI.
yes,
We
that's
use
an
AI at work, and
absolute,
we still need to.
that's an
it's wrong
absolute must.
still too
So what
sometimes,
do you
but
guys use it for, Tracy?
For, AI reads our CT scans at
Okay.
work, and it's wrong sometimes. So
Well-
we still, I'm just saying, like, it's
Yeah.
not foolproof, but you said what I needed you to
Yeah.
say, which is
Yeah.
that we will still
Our-
verify that it's,
State Board of Accounts, all about every step has to be initial and dated.
yeah.
It has to be by 2 people. I mean, you know, all these steps still must be done. This system will catch any duplicate entries. Like, you know, because we get one in the mail, we'll get one in the email, we'll get one. People submit their invoices 3 or 4 times in different ways, in different methods. The system will catch those. Um,
It's great, yeah, I mean, it's great.
Is it, I mean, it's good
I
to.
mean, there's yes and no, and you know, it just still needs that human verification for sure.
Right.
But if it can, it still saves time.
But we just wanted to let the board know kind of what we're looking at, and that it is exciting, and I'm really excited about that, the one that establishes our own program, that we own the data and it's here on our server. I just think that the support that we would gain from that, and the support we would get for that system is pretty awesome, I think. It's been very encouraging so far.
Linda, did you go to the AI breakout session at this last one?
No,
I was looking back there, it's pretty fun. Did you go there?
I did, yes,
Okay.
yeah, and very similar to, one of the companies, same idea, and it's
Yeah.
definitely, schools are more moving that direction, so.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're saying. I mean, you just really, you need to be thinking about these things, again, if you're trying to be efficient. And it's not about replacing people necessarily. I mean, that's not the idea, but at this moment, when we're transitioning
the
like it makes sense.
It's the same concept about robotics in manufacturing. It increases, efficiencies. Obviously, robotics has a safety factor that this one probably doesn't really have, but it's about efficiencies, like you said, making sure that we're not paying somebody 3 times for something that maybe didn't get caught or, whatever. And honestly, it's a ton of fatigue, I'm sure, for when you're looking at invoice after invoice after invoice and making sure that there's just no errors in the process.
So what happens, and this is what they talked about in this last session, last week, when you're so bogged down sometimes in just doing some of the menial tasks, then you really don't go back and ever really review, like, why do we do it this way? So I think if we're able to make it more efficient, regardless of what system we use, but if we're able to make it more efficient, it's gonna allow us to go back and say, for example, like, it's every Thursday, like, you gotta have your approvals done every Thursday, and not have it come in, whatever. And so I think, and even maybe, depending on how we have it happen in each of the building levels, I just think it opens up possibilities to really examine some of those things that we do to make it more efficient, that we've just done forever, and we're so bogged down in it that we never really have time to say, well, let's do it differently, because we're already doing what we're doing, so. Anyway.
So we hope to come back sometime, maybe the second board meeting in June. We'll probably have plenty of time to play in this new sandbox and make sure that it does what
We
we
only have
surely
one in
hope it
June.
will do. Pardon
We
me?
only have one meeting.
Oh, well,
So,
we'll try and make that anyway, so we have enough time to come back and have a recommendation.
Sounds good. Any other discussion from the board?
No, sounds exciting.
Because this is a discussion item, are there any members of the public that wish to speak in regards to this agenda? All right, moving on to draft board policies. Not because we want to, because we have to.
So that would be the second here, I'll open this up. Yeah, so, and again, this isn't gonna necessarily be big enough for everybody to see if you're sitting at your, sitting in the crowd with us, but do you have any, I guess I'm just gonna leave this up to the board to discuss. I mean, so, I guess the only thing I would set up is, the change now that they said it has to be inaccessible, that it's not just that they can't get it out in class, but kids can't have their phones accessible to them at all. And so what we do have the freedom to do and the ability to do is just to tell kids it needs to be turned off, powered off in your locker, and you're not getting it out, right? It's kind of it. And so, came from ISBA, this is just a kind of rewording of it, in the policy that we already have in place.
I think it's important to say it's not just phones.
Correct.
It's smartwatches, it's
Anything that has the ability to communicate.
Laptops, we were even
Laptops.
talking about the glasses.
the glasses.
I mean, it's any kind of technology really.
And again, I think it's important for people to understand this is not our policy because we want to, because we have an issue, it's the state is mandating this policy be put in place.
Yeah, and I would say, I know in elementary it's really not, but even middle school and high school, what we currently have in place, like, it's just been a non-issue for, not that there aren't any problems ever, but virtually a non-issue, and kids have been pretty compliant. But,
Obviously, if there's a student that has like a device for their
Right.
diabetes, those kind of things, there would be exceptions.
And that's in here, yeah. So is there anything that you would change in how we have, ISBA gave us for policy, or do you?
And I assume that the handbook will be addressing the disciplinary steps so that it doesn't have to be in here. So we'll see the disciplinary process later, and, or is that gonna be?
Yeah, it really doesn't need to change, because it just says the violation. And so,
It'll be like a-
yeah.
It already, okay.
A code of
Right.
conduct.
Cause I know, like, they already technically aren't supposed to have them in the classroom.
Right.
Our policy matches this.
So it's just you're just taking that step into, now if it leaves the locker, it's gonna hit those disciplinary processes. Perfect, okay. Any other questions of the board? Any members of the public that wish to speak in regards to this agenda item? All right, policy 8710.
So as you know, we have, good booster organizations and good partnerships with that. But we really didn't have a policy for it. And so it just seemed like, we just had some questions and discussions just earlier this year about it. And we're like, thinking about policy, and I'm like, wait a second, we don't have a policy for this. So I think it's good to have a policy, and then maybe even more so on this one, at the same time to look at guidelines, like administrative guidelines, because they're just making sure we have things on paper, like the funds have never passed through our books. You know, our employees are never on, any kind of checking accounts or anything like your signers of checks, or, you know, all those kind of things, like we really need to spell that out, just to leave no doubt with it. Now, again, I'm not aware of any problem we've had. I think we've had good, you know, I think people have done well with what we have in place, but, yeah, I just think we need to spell it out and be clear.
And so in what was sent, there are two policies marked 8710. Is it intention for the second one that has more of the,
So one of the set of guidelines, I think, is that what you're meaning?
they both say code 8710. So one's the relationship with the organizations and the other one is
So you're
essentially
looking at this one, Chad? Because
That's
administrative,
that's the second one.
yeah, so that's the guideline. So guidelines,
so then-
the policy and the guidelines have the same number.
But it's code 8710 and then it says code 8710. They're
Oh.
both in 8000.
Oh.
They both have the same number.
Right.
Because
Right.
one's, okay.
Yeah, because the guidelines and the policy
Policy,
match,
gotcha.
otherwise you wouldn't know. So, so on the guidelines, I mean, you kind of, and you're not necessarily, I mean, you can approve them, actually, maybe it would be a bad idea too.
As sorry, with this being obviously a discussion item, there'll be some additional, you know, at the next meeting. Will we go back then and formally approve all of them that are currently in place per these, making sure that they match and meet all of the guidelines?
I think we will. The thing is, it's kind of like we do with like fall coaches or whatever, it can be kind of a mass thing, you won't have to go through and, I mean, unless you have.
Because you'll verify all of
Yes,
the.
correct. And we'll show that with you, so you'll see that. But I don't see us having every organization come up and have a separate approval for all of them. I don't think that's necessary. But I think it will, like, we'll meet, like, once this is board approved and we have our guidelines and everything, you know, the next step will be for us to sit down with, you know, Kelby and our head coaches and just, you know, and our booster.
Find out who they all
leaders.
are.
Yeah, just sit together and just talk about this and make sure that these things are followed. And
Have they seen these policies,
so Kelby has,
Okay.
but we have,
the band and the
we have
choir?
the coaches
Okay.
and the boosters, that
Okay.
we haven't done any of that.
Okay. Any other questions of the board?
One of the things on the guidelines, booster organizations may not use school corporations, school's name, logo, blah, blah, blah. If a travel team that's not a booster organization wants to use Norwell naming and imagery,
Really should.
so they need to talk to whom?
I mean, you can talk to any of us, either Kelby or me, probably who we need to talk to. We do need to be careful about that, because if it's affiliated, and I think this opens up a whole other conversation too. I think I'll put this maybe in an email you guys won't, but, you know, are there things that we want to be school-based? And I'm not suggesting we necessarily, anything that we do with that, but you could, right? You could have, you know, a fifth grade basketball league or whatever, right? And that could be, then that could be the difference, like that is Norwell, that is our school program, it truly is feeder, as opposed to some things that are obviously great in the community and doing things that aren't necessarily affiliated directly with us. I just think, if we're clear about this, I think it opens up to other conversations.
Any other questions? Are there any members of the public that wish to speak in regards to this policy? All right. Moving on to action items, personnel report.
All right, so we're gonna have two parts of this. One is towards the end of the superintendent's report that you have. And so, and just to be clear, like, you're not approving those. That's just information she's sharing. The first part is actually the hiring and things that we're doing that you need to approve.
FMLA's Megan Howard, sped preschool secretary. Actually, her due date was 5/26, but she had her baby on Mother's Day, so. Congratulations, Megan. Caitlin Feldheiser, speech language pathologist, just extending her maternity leave an extra week. Autumn Reinhardt, family and consumer science teacher, effective 8/10/26, starting up next school year. We have one termination, Jasmine Hooker, teaching assistant at ASEAN. Resignations, Jacob Bowman, physics teacher at the high school.
end of the school year. Brandy Meyer, 5th grade teacher at Lancaster for end of the school year. Nathan Eggleton, 8th grade math teacher at the middle school for end of the school year. Brandon Sumwalt, 2nd shift custodian, high school. Skylar Imheiser, teaching assistant, middle school, end of the school year. Levi Dirk, teaching assistant, Ossian, end of the school year. Jamie Gerber, teaching assistant, Ossian, end of the school year. April Roberts as the unified assistant track coach at the high school. Amanda Brubaker, assistant swim dive coach at the high school. And Casey Linwell, assistant, it's the boys soccer coach at the high school. Recommendations: Lauren Albright, 7th grade language arts teacher at the middle school, effective for next school year. Logan Reese, U.S. history teacher, high school for next school year. Matthew Brenner, business teacher for the high school next school year. Dustin Wallace, 2nd shift custodian for the high school. Jeremy Hicks, head wrestling coach for the high school. Heidi Krill, co-theater director for the high school. Amber Krill, assistant theater director, high school. And then Elise Boomershine, substitute teacher for the corporation. Position changes that will take effect next school year. Neil Stinson will be moving from a science teacher at the high school to a mild intervention teacher at Ossian. Sarah Enterline, who was hired as a temporary contract special education teacher, will move to a permanent position. She'll be transferring from Ossian to Lancaster for next school year. Lillian Level, preschool teacher to a teaching assistant at Lancaster. Alex Murray is moving from a volunteer assistant boys soccer coach to a paid boys assistant soccer coach for the high school. And then Julie Bradburn is moving from a teaching assistant at Lancaster to a bus aide position for the corporation. Any questions on the personnel report?
Nope, I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, right hand. All right, moving on to reports.
So looking at the staff turnover report, so where we're at right now for the number of staff not returning for the 26-27 school year. Certified, we're at 12%. Classified staff, we're at 17%. The budget reductions that Mr. Springer talked about in his superintendent report, if we did not reduce those teaching assistant numbers, we would be sitting at 11% for that. Compared to last year, certified, this is not returning for this school year, so they left 24-25 school year, not returning for 25-26. 14% certified, 23% classified. The reasonings for not returning for next school year: personal family, 29%, job education, a move, 25%, budget reductions, 21%, policy violations, 12.5%, and then retirement, 12.5%. Looking at our retention for the 25-26 school year, certified retention rate was 86%, classified retention rate 76%, overall retention rate 81%. The 26-27 certified retention rate's 88%, classified 83%, overall 85%. I know if we look at, if we didn't have those budget reductions, where we'd be sitting at, so certified would be sitting at, I'm sorry, that's without.
It's still 88, just because.
Yeah,
You
88.
could say that, yeah.
If we didn't have those reductions, it would be at 89%, and then overall an 88.5. So I know one of the goals for the board was to increase staff retention rate by 5%. Actual results, certified increased 2%, classified 7%, overall a 4%. And then if we did not have those budget reductions, certified would still be at a 2%, classified would be 13%, and overall we'd be at a 7.5%. So if we didn't have those budget reductions, we would be exceeding what the board had as an expectation for this year. Questions over that slide?
No, that's, well, yes, I guess, that's great. My request would be that we have this report again, like the first meeting of September, which would be after school starts, because I know there's turnover in the summertime.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's great. I'm saying that out loud,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
important.
Just so you-
The only reason we did is that was on the board.
Yeah.
To do that. to
Yeah,
present that.
I just know that as school starts, a lot of people
Correct.
kind of
Right,
be
and
around.
that's why I wanna do like January for the first semester and then, August for going into the second semester, since our school year is July 1st to June 30th.
Yeah.
Give that time.
Yeah.
I reached out to other schools just to kind of see, I'm curious how we compare to other school districts. Nobody else is tracking this kind of stuff, so it's hard to,
Trailblazer.
it's hard to compare
We
when
reached
either
out.
they're tracking it and they don't want to share their data with me, or they're not.
Yeah, we even checked with the DOE to see if they have anything, and they didn't. The last we had was in 2021, it was 79% for teacher retention. That was just a number that I got. I have no idea where that number came from. But asking now, I can't.
The fact that they don't have that data is
It's crazy.
baffling to me.
Me too.
Because I'm all for paying more, but I wanna see where the
Right.
tax money is going, and if it's not helping to retain them, then.
Right.
I even looked on Wells County, like their bureau website, because I was kind of curious, since we are, we employ 371 like active employees for the school year, like looking at other industries that, employ similar, and I couldn't find any data like within Wells County to see what retention rate and turnover rate was. So,
Mhm.
if anybody has any ideas, so. Looking at the number of applicants we had for job openings, this would have been, going through our recruiting and hiring through Frontline, looking at all the job openings we had at the beginning of the 25-26 school year. So with our certified positions, we had over 114 applications. Teaching assistants, 51, food service, 48, custodial, 15, and then office staff, 11. And then looking at our current, where we're at for the 26-27 school year, we have open 9 teaching positions, and we're still looking to hire some of those positions. We're sitting at 72 applicants that are wanting to work for Norwell. So we had a finalization interview, I think it was Lauren, she compared all the schools, she's coming from Ohio.
She's from Ohio, I think.
Yeah, and she was like, I was super impressed by what you guys have, how beautiful your campuses are, how inviting everybody's been, and so,
And she asked us, she said, I'm just gonna put this out there, this is great. I said, so you must, like, live in Fort Wayne or something. She goes, no, I'm moving to Fort Wayne and I'm picking Norwell. And they're
So-
like, oh, out of all of the schools, she picked Norwell, she did her research, so she's moving from Bowling Green, that's where she graduated from, to the Fort Wayne area, she hasn't moved yet, and she picked Norwell, she did her research. And we thought, oh,
so, I was very impressed to hear that.
And I will say, just because we've talked about this before, I don't think it's unimportant at all to look at your retention rates and stuff like that. Like, I do think that's important, and to analyze, and the great job that Courtney's gonna organize for our offboarding and all that. Like, all that's really important. But really what it comes down to, like at the school, are you able to fill in positions, when you do have openings? I mean, because that's really, when you get down to inequality, right? So when you do it, because really the issue is if you're not able to attract people, because you're gonna have openings. And that's why we'd really love to see other people's, because we hire a lot of people from other districts. Well, they're coming from somewhere, right? So that means that they left another place. So that means that they're not retaining everybody either. But if we can attract people. So the next slide I'm gonna have Courtney present, and I'm just happy about the data she collected here. But we looked at teachers that are within their first or second year at Norwell, like what are they saying? Right, it's one thing to promise people an interview to come. What do they say a year or two after being here? Did we lie to them, right? Or is it really what they thought it was gonna be?
And just so you know, I am working on another data spreadsheet. I'm hoping to have it for you when I do my personnel report, looking at all of our current employees, so the 370 people, and I'm dividing them by, these are the people, how many people have been here less than 2 years, 3 to 5 years. So that way you guys can see that, we have some great longevity within our staff, and we do have a pretty good retention rate when you look at the longevity. So that's a work in progress, so. But I did send out a new teacher survey to, like Mike said, teachers that have been here 1 or 2 years. If you guys remember the last personnel report I did, we had one at semester where we kind of shared some information. So overall satisfaction with Norwell, rating 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Overall Norwell satisfaction, 4.63. Building support, 4.58. Human resource support, 4.5. Superintendent, assistant superintendent support, 4.33. Professional development, 4.13. And feedback, hopefully you guys got some time to read through this. I'll just kind of highlight some of them, just because we have 3 pages. Thus far, everything has been great. I am extremely satisfied with my experience working at Norwell. The administration from the building level through district leadership is engaged and genuinely interested in understanding what's happening on the front lines with students each day. The level of communication that is encouraged and supported is markedly different from my previous district. It's my favorite one. Courtney Springer has been the most responsive and helpful human resource contact I've encountered in my career, providing consistent support across a variety of situations. What stands out most is Norwell's commitment to valuing the people closest to the students. And other settings where staffing was limited across administration, teaching, counseling, and paraprofessional roles, I saw firsthand how students could fall through the cracks, both academically and emotionally. That has not been my experience here. My professional values align strongly with Norwell's approach, and I hope to continue contributing to this community for years to come. I've loved working at Norwell. Having experience at other school districts, I've never received this level of support for working hard. I feel that I've been supported professionally with directions towards achieving my goals. I felt encouraged by the administration both professionally and personally. My questions are met with thoughtful answers. Feel supported by staff that they've worked for. They're always willing to listen to their needs and perspectives. Mike has done an awesome job coming into the buildings and not only hearing our concerns, but allowing us to have majority of weight on decisions that affect us at the building. There are too many people to highlight as being awesome on this one survey. I feel like I'm a part of a winning team. The students are high caliber and are held accountable for their actions academically by the guidance counselors and behaviorally by Holly and Cam. This is a terrific school system and I'm happy to be a part of it. I've enjoyed my time at Norwell. I've enjoyed many things about my move to Norwell. Staff is wonderful, great educators and great people. I appreciate the more rural feel. Kids are well behaved compared to other schools, and if they have behavioral issues, they feel supported by Mr. Johnson, and appreciate his level of discipline with the students. I appreciate it's more of a team situation for the middle school. I have had a strong support team that's helped me adjust to my new position and supported me through my first year. Administration is committed to helping new teachers succeed and is extremely understanding. Norwell is full of people who want to be here, love kids, and enjoy teaching and learning and support each other. Norwell Community Administration and staff are extremely helpful and work at a professional level. It's been an awesome place to work, extremely supported. Admin and my team are supportive and collaborative. Students have been great. I'm able to work with students and less with paperwork and less with facility shortcomings. Some things, that came back as some good feedback for us. I chose this rating because my overall experience this year has been mixed. I feel like I've made a lot of progress as a teacher and I've worked hard to grow in my instruction and classroom practices. I've also built strong relationships with my student and taken responsibility seriously. At the same time, my non-renewal came as a surprise to me. I did not feel that I had a clear understanding or concerns related to peer relationships prior to the decision. I chose a 4 out of 5 as I'm disappointed that there's not been a solution for the window coverings in the rats hallways. It did not seem to be taken seriously. I know that that's already been addressed. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Yes, there are things to improve on, but that is the case everywhere. The level of communication that is encouraged and supported is markedly different from my previous district. Some comments about building, HR, superintendent, assistant superintendents, PD comments. I'm excited to improve open dialogue and communication about students and programming needs. It takes time to build a great program and we are on our way. It's a 5, great support. It was great. Mike and Anna have been very supportive, checking in when they see me in the halls or meetings. I feel like it's gotten better as time goes on, being aware of what happens on a daily basis that needs to be addressed to create a positive working environment for all staff. Limited interaction was not necessary. Need for more extracurricular funding, increased stipends, and the need for, the covering of the glass displays in the middle school. That was kind of one of those previous comments. We need more time to train the general education teachers on how to support students in the classes that need differentiated instruction. Again, a team approach, not just one person. Could use a little more subject area for professional development. Some feel like they haven't had learned, the PD wasn't very useful. more training on some of the systems we use, Teams, Schoology, IXL. Again, looking at the professional development hasn't really helped them grow as an educator. The one I found most interesting is the professional development has been fine. We've reviewed basic things teachers need to know or reminded of from time to time. But a 5-star would be something research, groundbreaking, new, hands-on, and applicable to the classroom.
And just real quick, 'cause I know that was a lot, so.
Yeah.
But the 4.13, so when I just read this, especially the comments, I mean, we're just looking at our, group of new teachers, but, so what I'm kind of reading in there, I think more than the professional development itself, I think we probably need to do a better job, which we've talked about this, and it's kind of, again, that dichotomy. We really don't have that one person that's coordinating all your professional development. We just don't have that. We all have good conversations, we have really good principals, Ann and I have been, in that position where we're leading professional development, but we don't just have one person that's their singular focus. And so I think it comes down to, articulating what are we about, because we have a lot of different things going on. And I think that last comment is the one that stands out the most to me, because I get what they're saying, but one of the things that Norwell did before I came in, and it was ironic because we were doing the same thing at my other district, was studying Michael Schmoker and what he talks about with results-oriented and leading with results, and he talks about simplifying the process. And so, and we used to have something where we do, what was it called, innovation, in the summers, people could do.
Summer of innovation.
Summer of innovation, and there's positive in that, like I think people enjoyed it and things, but I think what can happen with that is if it wasn't tied to like a central focus, and that's, so when I came in and just kind of looking at that, that's where I saw a lot of this going on, where we're kind of going in different directions, because it wasn't simplified, the approach. Whereas I think that can be really kind of fun, that we're doing all this, innovative and looking at doing all this creative research. I've been doing this for a long time, over 30 years, and improving student achievement results is really about being very focused and very narrowed and kind of simplistic in your approach and how you do that. But in saying that, though, I do think there's a deeper conversation, how do we make sure that everybody understands that vision, that focus, and that we're more collective in it, because we don't have one person carrying the message. So I think it's an ongoing thing for us to look at and talk about moving forward. Anyway, sorry, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Well, and I think it's just, we have the frontline professional growth, and I know Anna and I have already had conversations. There's so much training on there. And I think that, just rolling it out this year and wanting to get all that mandatory training and stuff, that Anna and I are gonna start looking at, these would maybe be some good things for this group of teachers or teaching assistants, things like that. And they should be able to access the library on their own too, if they wanna look for additional resources, and just communicating that to our staff, so.
Sorry, we did a lot of talking. If you guys have any questions, I know there's a lot of information.
It was good though, wasn't it? It's exciting to see.
Yeah.
I was very excited to see the feedback, so.
Yeah, and I know, we'll have our survey going out to teachers probably here in the next week, for the second round. So we did the first one at the first half, and then the second at the second half. So, we'll be doing the same thing. So hopefully it continues to improve. We're excited about it, so. And I know in our first one, PD was pretty heavily mentioned as well, so.
I would be interested to know if teachers are looking for more micro-focused school PD, like Norwell focused, or if it's, hey, I saw this awesome seminar, and because I know we've approved them before, some of them we said no to because they didn't follow guidelines. So I would be interested, I guess, I don't know if teachers are thinking which way they're thinking.
No, I think that is a piece of it, and that's what I was kind of meaning in that last bullet point. The tough part you get into also in that is, again, the funding that you're gonna use to pay for people to go to places. But again, one of the biggest detriment I've seen in 30 years, right, of impact on student achievement is when we're just grasping for a whole bunch of stuff, right? And just looking for that next new shiny toy that we're gonna go learn about. There's value in that, like I love to learn too, I get all of it. But when we're really talking about, like, and I've always said for professional development, necessity is the mother of all invention. That's what guides you, is what do we need to move this next kid that's not moving. So that's what really should generate our professional development, not our curiosities. when you're talking about really raising student achievement. But I get it, I'm a curious person too, I love to learn stuff. We've talked about it administratively, like, we don't feel like we do that even as an administrative team all the time, and I get it. But our number one job is to get as many kids mastering as many skills as humanly possible. So, but yeah, I get where you're coming from, Corey, that there is that piece of it, and I think that's what you're seeing in a lot of this.
Okay,
Thanks, Courtney.
all right, moving on to donations.
All right, so we have an anonymous donation of $1,550 to the high school after prom. And then Park Community Church, $350 to assist families in need for student meals. Yeoman, I think is how you pronounce that, is that right?
Yes.
Service Center, $1,000 to Lancaster Robotics.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion to approve. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Hearing none. Those in favor, right hand. All right, revised by Area 18 bylaws.
Yeah, so these have not been revised since 2010, I believe.
I don't think the website has either.
Right, actually, that just happened, but that's interesting. That just happened a year ago, so, but anyway, probably the most helpful one is to look at the memorandum with changes is probably the easiest to follow. To put on here, I don't know how much time, but so just basically the process is that each cooperative school approves it at their board meetings, and then with Bluffton being the LEA for the cooperative, they would do the final approval, and that would kind of approve it for the cooperative, so.
Bluffton being the what?
They're the LEA, it's a
Okay.
legal education agency.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
local education agency, I think. So anyway, yeah, so they would be the final approval, but the rest of us have to approve it first.
That's how it's always been.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's how it's always supposed to be. We haven't done anything for these
Oh.
16 years, but,
So we have to approve this?
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion for approval for any discussion. The only discussion I have is I certainly looked over everything, having been pretty involved in a lot of the stuff in Area 18. It's pretty simple language things that are just cleaning up. There's no major modifications or changes to the way the Area 18 is doing anything, so.
They changed, the one that I did notice, they changed the voting, some of the voting from 2/3 to 3/3, so I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, how many schools are in it now?
So we have 6, no, we have 8. We have 8.
It was 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 out of the 8 have to approve it, so I think
Which I
it's
think
pretty
is
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll do 2/3.
You don't get a 2/3.
Oh, that's right, yeah, you would,
Yeah.
but even then, that was probably pretty low, so.
Yeah.
The only thing is, we may ask them to,
Yeah, we already did, and he had changed it,
okay,
but this last one.
I'll
he
wait
said
then to
that's wrong.
sign until it's.
Yeah, until it's correct.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any members of the public that wish to address this agenda item? Hearing none, all in favor, right hand. All right. Moving on to limited public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to come and speak around any items impacting our district? All right, hearing none, upcoming calendar of events. Last day of school, for preschool, is May 22nd. We have Memorial Day holiday on the 25th. Last school board meeting for this month, not the last one ever, will be the 26th. So our next board meeting will be the 26th. Our last student day then will be the 28th. And graduation for 2026 will be June 7th. Anything else from the board?
I'll make a motion.
The only thing I would say is, as we're coming into sectionals, good luck to all of our teams and everything with volleyball starting tonight, so.